You boys be quiet down there!
Welcome back to Neo Geo Generation. And yes, you guessed it, this time we're looking at another unreleased game that never made its way into the hands of players. It's NGH-028, Dunk Star, 1991 from Sammy. Not only would this have been the first basketball game for the Neo Geo, but also one of the first third-party releases. Sammy, of course, would go on to release only one game for the Neo Geo, the three-quarter perspective shooter Viewpoint. And as for basketball games, the Neo Geo would see only one get released, Dunk Dream, aka Street Hoop, aka Street Slam, from Data East in 1994. And that game is more of an arcade-style street basketball game, with its 3-on-3 gameplay, whereas Dunk Star was intended to be a more realistic 5-on-5 basketball simulation. As evidence of this, the 1991 press release from Sammy announcing Dunk Star specifically uses the word simulate, and team selection menus in the game even have the coaches displayed. Since Dunk Star has still never been made public, here's what we do have to prove that it ever existed, in addition to that press release from Sammy I just mentioned. A 1990-1991 press release kit from SNK that lists Dunk Star and another unreleased title, Mystic Wand. An arcade flyer with art and 2 screenshots of the game. Articles and screenshots from Gamist Magazine and Joystick Magazine, as well as the Japan mailer Neo Geo Club. 33 seconds of the game in motion from a handheld camera at SNK's booth at the 1991 AMOA Amusement and Music Operators Association show. And finally, emulated screenshots released in 2002 and 2005, which prove that the game has been dumped and someone has the ROM data. Dunk Star was developed by Aicom, which was a subsidiary of Sammy that also developed Viewpoint for the Neo Geo. Supposedly, the Aicom team also had an unnamed action game in the works for Neo Geo. Now, was this the same Aicom that later went on to make Polestar? Well, the original Aicom development house that we're talking about here merged into Sammy in 1992. The name wouldn't reappear until 1994 for the development of Polestar, and that outing shares little staff in common with the previous incarnation of Aicom. But getting back to the original Aicom, according to GDRI, the Game Developer Research Institute, Dunk Star was far from the only basketball game that the team at Aicom developed. In 1987, Aicom worked on Great Basketball for the Sega Master System. Later in 1989, they also created the unique Basketball Nightmare on the Master System. Sega was like, "Hey Aicom, remember how you made that basketball game for us? Well, could you do that again, but this time do it with monsters?" Also in 1989, they released USA Pro Basketball on the PC Engine, which became known as Taking It to the Hoop on the TurboGrafx 16. In 1990, Aicom made Ultimate Basketball, aka Taito Basketball, for the NES. In this game, we can start to see the proto-gameplay for Dunk Star beginning to take shape. Also in 1990, Aicom worked on Super Real Basketball for the Mega Drive, which became Pat Riley Basketball for the Sega Genesis in the US. This was the last basketball game Aicom worked on before Dunk Star, but as you can see, they added a lot more frames of animation for the Neo Geo. Although these 5 Aicom basketball games were made for different publishers, they do have noticeable gameplay and graphical elements in common. The obvious one is the visuals of the players jumping in front of the basket, although Aicom certainly doesn't have a monopoly on this in the world of video basketball. Great Basketball doesn't have this, probably because it's the oldest of the bunch. Most also have the same kind of meters for timing your shots. The games really like to get you for traveling and charging. If you accidentally hit the shot button once while you have the ball, but fail to press it a second time, your player will hold the ball and jump, which will result in an instant penalty for traveling. You can even pass while jumping in these games. The key is to just always make sure to press something after you jump, or you will get caught traveling. Aicom developed Hoops and All-Pro Basketball for the NES in 1988 and 1989 as well. But these two games don't have as much design in common with Dunk Star, other than the ubiquitous close-up shots of the dunks. These two games also seem to have fared a bit better with reviewers. Even though the Neo Geo would never see the release of Dunkstar, this unreleased game did get a sequel that did see an actual release. And that's Super Dunkstar.
New Super
Dunkstar.
Super
Dunkstar, released only in Japan in 1992 for the Japanese version of the Super Nintendo, the Super Famicom. Super Dunkstar may give us at least some idea of what Dunkstar for Neo Geo could have been like. The game has the standard tournament mode and 1 or 2 player exhibition mode. In tournament mode, 8 teams square off in a bracket, and you can choose to play all or none of the matches as either team. The tournament mode has a save feature, but the game has no battery backup, so saving and loading is just for undoing progress during your current session, not for keeping your progress after the game is powered off. And since we don't know what the Neo Geo version sounded like, the music playing in the background of this video is all from Super Dunkstar on the Super Famicom. Super Dunkstar's soundtrack was composed by Kazuo Sawa, probably best known for the Kunio-kun / River City Ransom games. You can even hear the same rhythm pattern from River City Ransom reused in Super Dunkstar. However, Sawa did not compose music for the Kunio-kun game that was released on the Neo Geo. Whether or not the Neo Geo Dunkstar soundtrack was also composed by Sawa remains a mystery. Unfortunately, Super Dunkstar is generally considered to be crap, so whether or not the sequel was actually an improvement or step down from the unreleased Neo Geo original remains to be seen. The Super Famicom game suffers from the same issues with penalties as the other 5 Aicom basketball games. The scowl on the referee's face says it all. Just like Dunkstar, Super Dunkstar doesn't have the shot timing meter found in the earlier Aicom games, so you have to figure out when to press the button during dunks and blocks based on the graphics alone. At least 6 games mentioned in this video are generally considered bad to mediocre. At least Basketball Nightmare has unique theming going for it. It seems that Aicom's basketball games weren't the best, but they just kept cranking them out anyway. If Dunkstar had been released on the Neo Geo, in all likelihood, it would have brought the total of critically panned basketball games developed by Aicom to 7. The consensus among Neo Geo aficionados for why this game was never released seems to focus on the overall crappiness of the graphics. Although when put in context with Aicom's other basketball offerings, Dunkstar doesn't seem to be particularly bad. It also simply doesn't look up to par with most of the other offerings on the $649 hardware at the time. The players move slowly, the animation is choppy, and there appear to be some screen flicker issues in the footage. Hardly bigger, badder, better. Ironically, Sammy's 1991 Dunkstar announcement brags that the game will take advantage of the superior hardware capabilities of the Neo Geo. On the AMOA floor at SNK's booth, a conversation between SNK Game Lord Chad Okada and someone else can be heard over the blaring Magician Lord music.
Yes, unfortunately, that is Neo Geo basketball. Let's hope it's not finished. I don't know what happened. Who knows, maybe it'll get better. But it's coming out soon, so I think it's finished.
Fortunately, Sammy would go on to release Viewpoint in 1992, which was a showpiece for the system, showcasing state-of-the-art, groundbreaking graphics and sound for the time that showed off the bigger, badder, better power of the Neo Geo. We got an idea of what this lost game might have been like in Aicom's other basketball games, and in its Super Famicom sequel. Even if it's crap, the original Neo Geo version is out there somewhere, and it wouldn't hurt for the Neo Geo to have another basketball game.
I'm convinced.
Let's hope this one makes it into the hands of the public, hopefully sooner than later.
That belongs in a museum!
Thank you for watching another episode of Neo Geo Generation. Next time we'll be looking at NGH-029, Legend of Success Joe. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So I hope you'll join me next time. Keep fighting the good fight in the search for these protos, and I'll see you then.